Hey man, you ever look into flat earth?
All right, hopefully this will help in people's understanding that, focusing, the diffraction, the mirroring, the refraction is, light refraction. What does that really mean? Is it causing this magical thing to be pulled up from behind a curve? Or is it really more or less what is part of the illusion of a curvature, but it gives you this optical effect that makes you think that there's a curve. Obviously, there's a pulling down um, effect that occurs just below the panel, and a diffraction effect that occurs above the concrete. The concrete is not rising, it is just diffracting the light upward, which actually, in my opinion, the more of these small um, little tests I do or observations that I make for myself really shows the same effects that we see out on the water. When you look at the sky above the water, and you can get it in nice focus up to a certain point, and the water up to a certain point. So think of this little gap between the panel and the concrete, the floor, as being that band that's out there that gets all distorted and everything and hides really the true horizon line, which is usually always at eye level. And when you use a theta light, it's only good for a certain distance. Um, as I add water to the driveway, I was hoping to get the effect of this steam, because the steam also creates another effect, which is, evaporating water that really um, hides um, objects due to it being illuminated. The thicker and further distance that you're looking through it, as you can see in those pictures in the first part, how it does start eventually blocking things out. So again, if you're looking through, thousands of feet or even thousands of miles, hundreds of miles through this, eventually there's going to be a visible blockage, um, which, anybody with their common senses would know this. And this is why when these people constantly say, well, shouldn't you see the Empire State Building from, Florida? No, 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 no. But on a clear day, I can see the Crystal River Power Plant at 26 miles away at 30 inches, which also has a landmass in front of it about 40 feet away that can be at, all different heights, because just like some of the people that you would see in my footage, they are higher than the landmass that is behind, um, them, that is in front of the Crystal River Power Plant. That landmass is only 4 or 5 miles away, and I'd more or less say closer to 4. But the people are much taller than that landmass. But if you was to put them up next to it, farther away. They would be tiny compared to it. So that landmass blocks out a large area. Um, and I'm talking right here. I'm showing focus. So if I'm focused in on one thing, the other thing comes out of focus. Um, but if I focus on, say, that gap in between the fence panel and the concrete, I cannot get a real clear focus of it. Why? Because that's in that distortion area. That's in that convergence area where everything is converging and being compressed and compact, and your camera cannot um, resolve all the information that's contained in there. So, this is the area that we're talking about that actually obscures and hides what's truly there. Now, there is some, you can see that the panel's in really good focus, but earlier you could see that the flowers behind it was in focus and the panel was a little out of focus, but, everything, the grass that's underneath that little gap should be in focus when I'm focused on this panel because it's right behind it. I mean, the angle that I'm at, that grass is right behind that fence panel, so it's really not that far away. And then when you see, even as I zoom out, that grass is still not in focus underneath that panel. And if I zoom in again and focus in on these flowers, you still don't get a focus on that. Obviously, there's an optical effect occurring here, but meanwhile, when you look at this can, you can still see the bottom of the can flickering within that mirroring zone. So it's not as if that bottom of the can is being lifted up. It's that diffraction in the mirroring is hiding that little lower portion, and every now and then you see it flickering, and it'll show it and it'll hide it. That's the distortion, distorting back and forth. And as you can see, the concrete of just above this. Now I sped this part up real fast too. I think 5 times. I should have said when I did it, um, but I mean, anybody that has common sense that just goes out and does these observations, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that what you're seeing is an optical illusion. Um, this is not really where I would say if a object got into that area, you would not, you would either lose it completely, wouldn't be able to see it due to this ramping up effect or this drawing down effect, that it either looks like it's being drawn down or something is blocking out the bottom. All right, well, this is the end of part 3. I'm going to try to make these short. Thanks for watching.